Good afternoon, friends. நம்ம இப்போ MRB Pharmacist எக்ஸாம் ஓரியன்டாக சம் MCQs பார்க்கலாம். First MCQ, which one of the following is a beta blocker? Propranolol, option A. Second one, furosemide belong to which class of drug? Furosemide is belong to which class of drug? Loop diuretic. Which drug is an ACE inhibitor? Ramipril. Metformin is classified as a bioguanide. Which drug is a calcium channel blocker? Amlodipine. Which drug is a non-selective beta blocker? Propranolol. Which antibiotic belong to the macrolide class? Erythromycin. இதில் வர்ற இப்போ கொஸ்டின்ஸ் எல்லாமே கிளாசிஃபிகேஷன் பேஸ்டு கொஸ்டின்ஸ். கேள்வி எண் 8. Ciprofloxacin belong to which class of antibiotic? Fluoroquinolone. Which drug is a benzodiazepine? Diazepam. Which class of drug does phenytoin belongs to? Antiepileptic. Which drug is typical antipsychotic drug? Chlorpromazine. Which antipsychotic is classified as a atypical? Olanzapine. Which drug is a proton pump inhibitor? Omeprazole. Ranitidine belongs to which class of drug? H2 receptor antagonist. Which diuretic is potassium sparing? Spironolactone. Which class of drug does atorvastatin belongs to? HMG-CoA reductase inhibitor. Which drug is a typical opioid analgesic? Morphine. Which antibiotic is a tetracycline? Doxycycline. Which is a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor? Fluoxetine. Which drug is a antimicrobial agent? Chloroquine. Which class of drug does clemipride belongs to? Sulfonylurea. Which drug is classified as a loop diuretic? Furosemide. Which of the following drug is a calcium channel blocker? Verapamil. Match ranitidine to its drug class H2 receptor antagonist. Which of the following is an fibrate? Fenofibrate. Which drug is a typical antipsychotic? Haloperidol. Which drug belongs to benzodiazepine? Lorazepam. Which medication is a proton pump inhibitor? Esomeprazole. Which of the following is a thiazide diuretic? Hydrochlorothiazide. Sitagliptin belongs to which class? TPP4 inhibitor. Which antibiotic is a macrolide? Clarithromycin. Which drug is an aminoglycoside? Gentamicin. Which drug or SSRI? Sertraline and fluoxetine. Methylphenidate belongs to which drug category? Antidepressant. Which drug classified as an opioid analgesic? Codeine. Which drug is a tetracycline antibiotic? Minocycline. Lithium is primarily classified as mood stabilizer. Which of the following drug is a sulfonamide? Sulfamethoxazole. Which drug is classified as a dopamine agonist used in Parkinson's disease? Bromkriptine. Which is a non-selective beta blocker? Nodelol. Which drug is classified as a potassium sparing diuretic? Spironolactone. Which drug is a selective beta 1 adrenergic blocker? Atenolol. Which of the following is a thiazolidinedione pioglitazone? Which antibiotics belongs to the aminoglycoside group? Streptomycin. Which drug is a folic acid antagonist used in chemotherapy methotrexate? Which drug is a selective serotonin norepinephrine reuptake inhibitor? SNRI. Venlafaxine. Which antifungal drug is classified as a polyene? Amphotericin B. Which drug is a HMG-CoA reductase inhibitor? Atorvastatin. Carbamazepine is used as an anticonvulsant. Which is a selective alpha-1 adrenergic antagonist? Prazosin. Which class does the drug phenytoin belongs to? Antiepileptic. Which drug is a tricyclic antidepressant? Amitriptyline. Which drug is a non-selective beta blocker with alpha blocking activity? Carvedilol. Which drug is an oral anticoagulant? Warfarin. Which antihypertensive is classified as a calcium channel blocker? Nifedipine. Which of these is a loop diuretic? Bumetanide. Which anti-inflammatory drug is classified as a COX-2 selective inhibitor? Celecoxib. Which drug is used in Parkinson's disease and it is a dopamine receptor agonist? Bromocriptine. Which drug is an H2 receptor antagonist? Famotidine. Which drug is classified as a glucocorticoid? Prednisolone. Which of the following drug is a sulfonylurea? Clebenclamide. கேள்வி எண் 60 திரும்ப பாருங்க. Which drug is classified as a glucocorticoid? Prednisolone, hydrocortisone, dexamethasone. All of the above. கேள்வி எண் 62. Which drug is classified as an angiotensin receptor blocker? Losartan. Which drug is a bronchodilator and beta 2 agonist? Salbutamol. Which of the following drug is a corticosteroid? All of the above. Which drug belongs to the statin class? Rosuvastatin. Which antibiotic belongs to the cephalosporin ceftriaxone? Which drug is a serotonin receptor antagonist used to treat nausea? Ondansetron. Which drug is a loop diuretic? Torsemide. Which drug belongs to the class of selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor? Paroxetine. Which drug is a anticholinergic used in overactive bladder? Oxybutynin. All of the above. Oxybutynin, tolterodine, sulfasalazine. All of the above is the answer. Which drug is a proton pump inhibitor? Pantoprazole. Which drug is used as a dopamine antagonist in antipsychotic therapy? Haloperidol. Which drug is classified as a bisphosphonate? Alendronate. Which drug class does baclofen belongs to? Muscle relaxant. Which antibiotic is classified as a fluoroquinolone? Levofloxacin. Which drug is a antiviral agent used to treat the herpes infection? Acyclovir. Which drug class does sildenafil belong to? Phosphodiesterase type 5 inhibitor. Which drug is selective alpha 2 adrenergic receptor? Clonidine. Which drug is used as an antiplatelet agent? Clopidogrel. Which drug belongs to the class loop diuretic? Bumetanide. Which drug class does amlodipine belong to? Calcium channel blocker. Which drug is the selective serotonin norepinephrine reuptake inhibitor? SNRI. Duloxetine. Which drug is an inhaled corticosteroid? Budesonide. Which drug is used as a bronchodilator and phosphodiesterase inhibitor? Theophylline. Which drug belongs to the class of benzodiazepine? Diazepam. Which drug is a nucleoside analog antiviral? Acyclovir. Which drug is a selective alpha 1 adrenergic antagonist used in benign prostatic hypertrophy? Tamsulosin. Which drug is a biphosphonate used in osteoporosis? Residuronate. Which drug belongs to the thiazolidine-dione class? Rosiglitazone. Which drug is an anti-epileptic used primarily for absence seizure? Ethosuximide. Which drug is an anti-arrhythmic class 3 agent? Amiodarone. Which drug is a selective COX-2 inhibitor? Celecoxib. Which drug is classified as a local anesthetic? Lidocaine. Which drug is an acetylcholinesterase inhibitor used in Alzheimer's disease? Donepezil. Which drug is an opioid agonist antagonist? Buprenorphine. Which drug is a beta 2 agonist used as a asthma management drug? Salbutamol, albuterol, terbutaline, all of the above. Which drug is a uricosuric agent used in gout? Propanacide. Which drug is an antifungal from azole group? Fluconazole. Which class does lorazepam belongs to? Benzodiazepine. Which drug is an antiviral used for HIV treatment? Zidovudine.